Hello, my name is Aubrey and I don't remember how to do this. It's been a minute. I'm here to give you guys a little update on my life and everything that's been going on with me this summer and I guess this fall now. I really didn't mean to be gone for so long, but here we are. Two things before we start. First of all, I'm getting over a little bit of a head cold, so if I sound stuffy or sick, that's why. And number two, spoiler alert, I have moved, and we'll get to that in just a second, but I have moved and I have misplaced my microphone. I don't know where it is. I thought I knew where it was. I thought I had unpacked and found all the things I needed to film. I got ready and I did my makeup and there's so much that goes into before you sit down to film. And I thought I had done it all and I was at the last step about to set up my microphone and I realized I had no idea where it was. And I looked for it and I can't find it. So I have audio recording on my iPhone, and if that's no good, I guess I'll just have to use the audio on the camera itself. If the audio is not up to my usual standard, I apologize, but it's been too long and I just feel like the show needs to go on, you know? Okay, the last video I posted I think was either at the very end of April or at the beginning of May, and a lot has happened since then, so let's just go through it. Part one of this video is just going to be me telling you where the hell I've been, and then the second half is going to be everything that I've read up until now. So a wrap up, but I'm gonna try to make it snappy. Okay, so let's see. When I last left you guys, I was just about to go on my bachelorette weekend because I got married in June. I flew to New York City. My best friend and I went to the Eras tour. We had the best time. She and I are huge Swifties. We've been Swifties since 2008, which was a very long time ago, and I don't like to think about how long of a time ago that truly was. Yeah, we've been to every headlining tour that Taylor's ever done. We're huge fans. We were able to go. We were in the nosebleeds, but there's no bad seat at a Taylor Swift concert. So then I had my actual bachelorette party, which was so fun. They took me to a Taylor Swift themed drag brunch. So all of these lovely, beautiful drag queens sort of danced around and lip synced to Taylor Swift songs, and we got to eat brunch and have a big sing along, and it was really fun. And then my husband and I got married. We got married on June 3rd. It was honestly such a beautiful wedding, and I say that because it had very little to do with how beautiful it was. My parents did so much work. We got married on their farm in North Carolina, and it was gorgeous, and the weather was perfect. I mean, we could not have lucked out any better, and all our closest friends and family were there. Yeah, it was really special. So yes, got married, and we had a little bit of downtime after that to just cool off, but pretty quickly afterwards we started house hunting. My husband and I have been pretty unhappy living in apartments, sharing your walls with other people and your ceilings with other people that are not necessarily super considerate. Has just really grated on us over the last many years. First, most of the houses we saw were fixer-uppers or they were in sketchy neighborhoods, and it took us a while, but we eventually did find a house, which is where we live now. So we bought a house. We bought a house and then we moved into that house, which are two different, massively different obstacles to overcome. So the buying process had its own set of issues, but we did it. We bought a house, and moving has obviously been awful. Moving is not fun. Anyone who's ever moved ever in their life knows that it is not fun. It has taken me until very recently to have unpacked all my books. And again, like I said, I thought I had found everything I needed to film. I had been missing my memory card for the longest time. I didn't know where it was. I finally found that. I couldn't find my tripod. So you are currently stacked at the top of a nice stack of books, and I couldn't find my microphone. So oh well. But yeah, so we bought a house that was towards the end of the summer, but that's not all. We also adopted a dog, kind of simultaneously with the moving in process, which was probably too soon. Probably one too many things, but my uncle had a litter of puppies. We adopted Callie. She is this probably Jack Russell Terrier Beagle mix. We're not really sure, but she was free. And she had been spayed. My uncle spayed all the puppies, and I love her. I have no regrets. Having a dog has been wonderful, and it was one of the biggest reasons why I wanted our own house, because all the apartments I've ever lived in have not allowed dogs. So living the dream. What else? Shortly after moving into our house, like I swear to God, the first week we moved into our house, my husband and I got COVID for the first time. Neither of us had ever had it, and it knocked us on our ass for like 2 weeks. 0 out of 10. Would not recommend. And then one of my bridesmaids got married herself. She and her fiance, who've been engaged for like many, many years, finally got married, and their wedding was beautiful. So we flew back up to New Jersey, got to go to their wedding and visit some old friends, and it was just a really nice time. So yeah, I guess that about sums up where I have been. I think that's quite a lot of things. Getting married, buying a house, moving into a house, getting a dog. I mean, it's been a it's been a busy year. This is definitely going to be one to remember. Yeah, I think we're finally feeling a little more settled. My library has been built. I would love to, one, do a library organization, because I have a crap ton of books to haul, like so many books to haul. My last haul was in March, and I have so many books. And I've just been like keeping them over in the corner so that they're all grouped together and I can haul them, but that means that they're not on the shelves, and so I can't sort of properly organize, because I know that I have stuff that's not on the shelves that's gonna need to go places. So it's like I've organized it the best I can, but I also know that there's a huge influx of stuff that's going to need to make its way up here. So I'd love to do a little library organization type thing once I've hauled everything, and then maybe I can finally do a bookshelf tour, because I've never done one, because they're daunting and time consuming. But yeah, maybe I'll finally do one. Alright, so without further ado, let's go into the books that I've read since my last video. Again, all the way at the end of April was my last wrap up, right? It was like my April wrap up, and then I did a review of the Remnant Chronicles, and that's where I left you. There's sort of two, like I guess at least in my head, there's like two groups of books. There's the books I read before the wedding. Once I left for my bachelorette weekend, which was at the end of May, I didn't read another book until October. So I have the books I read in May right before the wedding, and then I have books that I've sort of read more recently, because from the wedding, moving into the house, all of that, I was not I was not in a headspace to read any books. Well, I say that, and it's not strictly true. I was reading a lot of like finance books and organization books, and I don't know, just like get your shit together books. They weren't on brand, so we're not going to talk about them. So first up, we have Lost in the Moment and Found by Shannon McGuire. This is book 7 in the Wayward Children series. This is one of my favorite adult fantasy series, and I loved this installment. I tend to really enjoy, I don't know, the more standalone stories in this series. Actually, is this book 8? Because wasn't it? Hold on. Across the Green Grass Fields was 6, right? And then it was Where the Drowned Girls Go. That was 7. And Lost in the Moment and Found is book 8. Wow. I hope Shannon McGuire just continues to write them, because I love them and I will continue to read them. This one, if I remember correctly, this one was dealing with like really dark subject matter, probably her darkest yet. I mean, Shannon McGuire is not afraid to have these just really dark aspects of her books. And I don't know, it's something that I appreciate about these books. They're dark and they deal with difficult subject matter, but they're also always hopeful in their own way, and I just really love them and appreciate them. So Lost in the Moment and Found, I gave that one 4.5 stars. Then I read, pull it out of my stack here, hold on, should have organized these better, I guess. Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. This was a reread. I reread this trilogy this year. I really enjoyed my reread. I continue to love this series. Interestingly, the first time I read this series, I remembered this one being my favorite, and upon reread, I think Clockwork Prince is my favorite, because I am fully Team Gem now. like fully Team Gem. And I used to be all about Will Herondale, but I have changed my mind. Character development. Then I finished Jade Legacy by Fonda Lee. This was fantastic. This is going to be the problem with having a library room that's like facing the street. Usually It's not super loud. That was a school bus. I finished Jade Legacy. This was a fantastic finale. I gave this 4.5 stars. I thought it wrapped up everything beautifully. It was very emotional. I would say my two biggest qualms with this series are the writing style. It's a bit dry and it's very removed from all of the characters. And starting in book 2, we started time jumping quite a lot. And while I appreciate that this gives us this like really unique scope of these characters' lives, it's between these two rival clans, and so it's like spanning almost nearly the entire lives of some of these characters, which is cool and I like it, but I think I am more of a character-driven reader, and I like feeling very down in the trenches with my characters as opposed to like seeing everything from up top. But still like a phenomenal series, and I applaud Fonda, and the scope of everything that she accomplished here is very, very impressive. So it was great. Then I read The Undertaking of Hart and Mercy by Bannen, and this is a fantasy romance, and it's got like a bit of a more contemporary flair. Like it's not a high fantasy romance. It's kind of set in this weird world where there are like gods and demigods. There are creepy, almost zombie-like creatures that live outside of this town that they live in, but people wear jeans and I think they drive cars and they might have cell phones. I don't remember exactly, but it feels more contemporary than high fantasy, even though it takes place in a fictitious town. But yeah, I was actually really surprised with how much I liked this. I went into it because after Jade Legacy, I needed something just a bit lighter and fluffier, and that's what I got and more. I really liked this. I liked all the characters in this and the chemistry between the two main, the two love interests. Basically, the premise is that our main character, Mercy, is an undertaker, so she's dealing with the dead, and Hart, the love interest, is a marshal who goes into this, like I said, this like weird, it's called Tanria, and it's like this place that they go into because these zombies have been popping up, and so they need to like keep that under control so that the zombies don't like get into the town. If he kills a zombie, he brings the body to Mercy because she's an undertaker, but they like really hate each other. Like they can't stand each other. They start sort of corresponding with each other as anonymous pen pals. Like they don't know that they're writing to each other. But, of course they start pouring out their souls to each other and falling in love with each other through the letters. And yeah, it's cute. It's really cute. I liked it. So I would love more fantasy romance like this. If any of you have any recommendations for me, please let me know because I loved this. And I read The Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi by Shannon Chakraborty. This was fantastic. I loved this so much from page 1. This was a 5-star read. Did I give it 5 stars? Here I have it as 4.5, but I think I might bump it up to just a full 5 stars because this was fantastic. I love S.A. Chakraborty. She wrote the David Trilogy, which is one of my favorite trilogies, and I just loved everything about this. I loved Amina. I loved her crew, and I loved the adventure and the quirkiness of it, and I don't want to spoil anything, so I won't go into it, but there's like hints at a future romance that is very fun, and I'm on board. I'm on board for it. I just really love this. I can't wait for more. I will say that this book reads mostly like a standalone, so the story is wrapped up in this book. So if you're like me and you like to wait until a series is finished, there are no cliffhangers here, so it's a pretty complete story with little hints at more. So I say just go ahead and read it, because I did, and I had a great time. And then I read a book that I genuinely thought I had no interest in whatsoever, and that is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I'm not super into fae. Like, fae have never been like a mythical creature that I've been super drawn to or interested in. And I guess also I am a little wary of books that are just like unbelievably hyped, because I've been burned just one too many times, So I don't know what came over me. I just, like, for whatever reason, I was really gunning to read this. I was just in the mood for it, and I ended up really enjoying this. I gave it 4 stars. I really loved this world of fae. Like, specifically this world of fae, where Fae are creepy and mean, tricky, but also very whimsical and magical. I really love Jude as a main character. I find her so fascinatingly both likable and unlikable, and I guess I find all of the characters to be pretty much likable and unlikable, so it makes the series so interesting. So yeah, I finished this in May and then did not read another book until October. Yeah, to get myself back into reading, I picked up a manga series that I had gotten like about halfway through last year. It's called Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. I started reading this in October because it's kind of a spooky supernatural manga, and I was in the mood for something spooky but not scary, and I also wanted to read just something that I already knew I liked, you know, like I was in such a slump and I hadn't read anything for such a long time that I was like, I just need something to get me back into reading. And so I picked something I was already familiar with. So I reread volumes 1 through 7, which I had read last year, and then I read the rest, so 7 through, this is 14. That may not be the rest that's out, actually, but it was the rest that I owned. This is just a cute little series. Well, I say cute, but it gradually gets darker. It starts off cute. It's about this like supernatural boy named Hanako-kun, and he teams up with this girl because he can grant her a wish. So she makes a wish, and then the wish goes wrong, and then she's kind of like indebted to him. So she has to, from then on, clean the bathroom that he haunts after school, but then they also get into like supernatural shenanigans. And yeah, it's just a fun series. It's like, it's not too deep. It's just a good time. So I enjoyed these immensely, and they did the trick in terms of getting me back into reading, because shortly after I continued on with The Wicked King and The Queen of Nothing, as well as How the King of Elfheim Learned to Hate Stories. So I loved this one. I gave this 5 stars. Queen of Nothing I gave 4 stars. I didn't think it was awful. I remember how many people were disappointed by this book. When it came out, my expectations were lower, and I thought it was fine, you know, like it was a little slower. There wasn't as much tension, and I do think that Holly Black kind of waters down the love interest quite a lot. Like in the first 2 books, he's sort of a loose cannon, you just don't know what to expect from him at all. And in this one, I just felt like he had been very tampered down. He's also a big snake for a lot of the book, so I don't know. It was okay. I definitely enjoyed it. I don't think it's like the worst finale I've ever read, but I do think we really could have used Carden's perspective through this series. He's such an interesting character, and I would have loved to see his point of view. So yeah, but I mean, overall, I really enjoyed this series, and I like this world a lot. So yeah, a fun surprise, a nice surprise. All right, and then I decided to DNF A Court of Silver Flames. I think I had been reading this mostly before the wedding. I'd been listening to the audiobook in that May time frame, and I think I had meant to carry on, you know, like I thought eventually I would carry on, but at the thought of having to go back to it, I just decided I didn't want to. And the biggest reason that I didn't want to is because I genuinely had gotten everything that I wanted out of that book already. So I think I DNF'd it at like the 75% mark. At that 75% mark, it was like a solid 3-star read for me. I just really like Nesta. I like messy, broken, like bitchy characters. It's just something about that I find really entertaining, and so I like Nesta, and I liked watching her journey in this book. I liked the friendship she was making. I don't know, like watching someone who's just sort of given up on life, finding reasons to go on, purpose and friendships and love. Like there's just something about that I enjoy, and so all of those aspects of the book I liked. There's like a magical house that she bonds with. I like that she, you know, was bonding with these women over the fact that they all like smutty books. The romance, I would have liked it more if there wasn't so much smut, which I understand that's like a big part of why people like these books. I'm not trying to take that away from anybody. If you like the amount of smut that are in these books, that's fine, you know, like I'm not saying Sarah J. Maas should write less of it. I'm just saying I would have preferred less of it. I can honestly ignore it if I just didn't find Sarah J. Maas sex scenes to be so gross and weird. The male fae are always just like growling and grunting and like dominating, and it's not for me. Yeah, a good a good bit of this book was not for me. And then the other thing that I didn't care about, and the reason why I stopped reading, is that Sarah J. Maas insists on having this like larger plot. There's always got to be some impending war or some big thing going on, and like I just didn't care about that part of the story whatsoever. Like the only part that I was interested in was Nesta learning to be a slightly better person, you know, clawing out of the trenches of her trauma, finding her place in the world again. Like that's what I wanted. That's all I wanted. The bigger like impending doom plot I didn't care about. I didn't care about Feyre and Rhysand, who are by now just like the worst characters. Their whole drama I didn't care about, and part of that is just that like I knew based on fan art that I'd seen online that everything was gonna turn out okay, so there was no like tension in it for me because I don't care about them, and so I don't care how it affects them, and so I DNF'd it. That's fine. It's fine to DNF books. Okay, and then I decided to read the Caraval trilogy by Stephanie Garber in order to read the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, which takes place in the same world as Caraval, and it has some of the characters from the Caraval series. I wanted to read Caraval first. I went into these books with pretty low expectations. The first book was fine. Again, my expectations were really low, and I would say that it met those low expectations. I found it messy. The characters are frustrating. The world building it's pretty like loose world building. I definitely felt throughout the first book and the entire series that Stephanie Garber was just making shit up as she went, which, to be fair, I understand that that's what books are. It's not supposed to feel that way, and it felt that way through all the books, especially the world building. I mean, she just throws stuff in there. So for the first book of Caraval, the plot was at least fast-paced and it felt readable. Legendary, book 2, I'd hoped would be better. Like, I'd hoped that the books would get better and better, or at least just stay the same, but Legendary to me was a 1-star book. And again, I guess I'm gonna go more into this in my most disappointing reads of 2023, but like, first of all, the writing is bad, and I'm gonna say that it's objectively bad, and you can argue with me, but I'm gonna say that it's objectively bad. The characters are frustratingly naive. They're just like idiotically naive, and the plots really hinge on the characters being naive, just not being able to figure things out. All of Stephanie Garber's characters do this thing where they like spin out inside their own heads because they're trying to figure something out, but they can't. Well, if this is what's happening, then this and this and this must be true, but if this other thing's happening, then this and this and this must be true, and like I just don't know. Just this like constant round and round thought tornado. I didn't enjoy them. Legendary was a 1-star. Finale was a 1-star. I probably should have known then Once Upon a Broken Heart was not going to be any better of a book, but I really wanted it to be, and I really wanted to like this series. The fan art on Instagram that I've seen is so beautiful, and the covers are super pretty. Like, these UK covers are gorgeous, and I just wanted to love this. I would have given anything to love this. I did give this first one 3 stars because I mean I really can't stress enough how much I wanted to like this, so I give it a very generous 3 stars. I thought it was okay. Again, still suffers from a lot of the weird writing, the naive main character, just plot points being thrown in, no foreshadowing, no lore, I mean no build up, just like there's vampires in this world, I guess. Here we go. There are vampires in this book, and they just sort of show up at the end of Act 2. So yeah, 3 stars. Then I read The Ballad of Never After, which again, I had really hoped that like, okay, book 1 was 3 stars. I would be very happy with a 4-star. I would be very happy if this was a 4-star read. I don't think anything happens in this book. Like, I don't think a single thing actually happens in this entire book until the very end. It's all just a colossal waste of time. This is marketed as like a romance, and again, the fan art that I've seen online, I really thought that the romance was at least gonna make this series worth it. And to be honest with you, I would have forgiven a lot if the romance between our main character and Jax, I'll just say it. If they had any chemistry whatsoever, I would have forgiven the plotting and the writing and maybe even our stupid main character. Like, I would have forgiven it because that's what I came here for. It's not here. There's no chemistry between the main character and Jax. There's no chemistry. Jax is just like the cardboard cutout of a somewhat, sometimes snarky character. Evangeline is nothing. Her head is full of cotton balls. Like, she has got nothing going for her. She is so naive. She's just a nothing character. All that to say that this just was not it. Did not like these. I'm so sad about it. I apologize for any continuity errors. My camera battery just died, so if things look different, that's why. But the last series I have to talk about is The Hunger Games. I decided to reread The Hunger Games with the hype of the new movie. I actually haven't reread The Hunger Games since like I first read them when they were coming out, which was quite a long time ago. But all in all, it was a really fun series to revisit. Like I said, it's been a long time. It's really nostalgic for me. I feel like the Twilight to Hunger Games era was such a cool time to be a reader. I was so entrenched in the Twilight fandom. I loved Twilight. It was all about Twilight. And then, you know, when that died down, it was the Hunger Games, and it was just a cool time to be alive. Okay, it was a cool time. Anyway, Catching Fire is still my favorite. I think it's still the best book of the series. And yeah, I'm currently reading The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and I'll let you guys know what I think about it in my next wrap up. I guess that's all I have to say. I should probably wrap it up here. This video is so long. I really didn't mean for it to be long. I always try to make these videos like snappy and quick, and then I just have too much to say. So yeah, anyway, it's good to be back. Thank you for watching till the end. If you watched until the end, I appreciate you. Please like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more from me. I hope to see you next time. Bye.